Okay, everyone here at the Investing Stuff You Should Know podcast, we have a pretty exciting, actually two guests with us this evening or this afternoon, and it's a little different focus from people that just raise capital or starting funds or using funds. These folks, Alex Tam and Valerie Sharia, they have a virtual assistant agency, and they recently formed together, and it's really exciting. I saw them from not too far away and saw them just jump on this opportunity. There was a big need in the community, and yeah, we're going to let them talk about that and share what they've done and how they're doing it and the kind of benefit that folks like LPs, GPs, syndicators, fundraisers, and all those kinds of people can use this service because it's really needed. So Alex and Valerie, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Sure, it's great to be here.
Sweet. Okay, well, let's get right into it. We did a little pre-chat, but share with the audience how kind of just like a couple sentences of how it came together, the need, and then also the formation of the entity or the business.
Valerie, go ahead.
All right, I'll go ahead. So just a couple sentences. Basically, my husband and I started getting into real estate, and we have a lot of things going on. We're trying to homeschool our kids. He's still working W-2, and then we do short-term rentals and multifamily. And so it ended up really quick getting a lot on our plate, got overwhelmed. So then we got into getting a virtual assistant, and through networking, Alex and I and his wife, Helen, and my husband, Jonathan, we got on a call, we met, really hit it off. But the funny thing is we got on to talk about multifamily, and we just talked about virtual assistants. And so that's kind of where we met, and what's, the start of the business. We just decided to do that together because we felt like there was a need, definitely a need, because there's a process to kind of go through to get a virtual assistant. We felt like if it were easier, a lot more real estate investors would want that option. So that's kind of my few sentences.
That's good insight. And Valerie, just a question for you. How long was it before you got overwhelmed? And I think we all have our own timeline and our own trajectory. Typically it's not that long, but sure, if you know how long you kind of decided to do real estate in this case, and then all of a sudden this is just we're underwater. How long would you say that was?
It was kind of a gradual process, and you keep thinking, I can do a little more, and then all of a sudden it just kind of hits you and you think, I can't do this at all anymore. And so you come to a T and you think it's going to break, or we're going to figure out how to fix it and we're going to do it differently. And that's kind of what I came to. And especially with when school would start back up, this summer things might slow down and I'd have more time. But once school started and we were, homeschooling 3 kids, it was just it got too much. And I said, John, I can't do this. We're messaging guests for our Airbnbs. We're looking for properties. We're trying to talk to brokers. And then I'm trying to grade schoolwork. It hit. And we realized that we had to change something, or we had to just let it go, and we would not be able to continue. And so that was a really big eye-opening moment for us.
Pivoting over to Alex here. Alex, what was, I think I just know you and I have met before and chatted this and that. Yeah. You perhaps maybe have a little bit longer history, or you started, maybe some time ago. What was your kind of foray, and how did you know about it, and how did you learn?
Well, I started doing social media back in 2016, 2017. And wanting to record more videos and graphics. And what I realized is I spent so much time editing.
Yes.
And I'm sure you know about that, right? Where on weekends, I said, oh my gosh, my weekends are just huddled in front of the computer. I need to get some help. Somehow a video popped up on YouTube, like it always does, yes. Right? And it says, have you ever tried a virtual assistant? And I said, what the heck is that?
Yeah,
I dove into it, read about it, hired my first one, and it literally has transformed our medical practice. So now we have 8 that works for me.
Wow.
They handle not just the medical practice, but also the marketing company. They assist in the virtual assistant, agency, because what we have done is, most people, when they hire a VA, it's just them and the VA. The great thing about what Valerie and I have done is when we hire a VA, your VA not only works for you, but also has the resources to all of our other VAs in the VA community and our Facebook group as well, that we are able to post things on there to help clients out, real estate investors or owners like yourself, to how do you maximize our VAs, you see?
Yeah, that's so powerful there, Alex. I hired a VA, my first earlier this year, and I had high hopes. And I read some posts and some other guidance on how to do it right. I'm like, well, I'm not really quite there yet. This is the best I can find. And it went okay for a month. And then after like 3 months, I was like, I'm just paying feels like quite a bit of money. I mean, it's really just kind of the hour just kind of accumulate. It's not so much as you pay them a ton relative to, American wages, but it's like, I don't think I'm getting the hours out of this. And the worst part of my day was when at 6 o'clock, when morning time came into the Philippines, I was using someone from the Philippines. That was the worst part of my day, when I had to basically like reset my mind, like, okay, someone that I've hired is going to start their day, and I need to like lay it out. I need to like show them this and cut looms and explain and send them Slack messages and open, give them a last pass. I mean, just on and on. It was just draining, and we parted ways. So that piece that you suggested there is so critical, to have the infrastructure, the knowledge, the expertise, and those other things of how do you properly bring on a VA so they can actually provide that, that real relief, that real assistance that many of us actually need.
Absolutely.
Johnny, you're bringing back PTSD for me, because that was exactly what it was like when I got my first VA. And so like, it's funny to compare stories between me and Alex. And I said, he's a lot smarter than me. He got it going better than I did, but I struggled in the beginning. And even when we got ours, I'm thinking, okay, she's going to do this and this, and she's going to just take off. She's going to know what I need. And how silly is that? She doesn't even know me. And so we would try and have her do some stuff, and it wasn't, I mean, she's doing the best that she can, but she didn't understand some of the things that I wanted. And I'm pretty picky, and and I was just like, it would have been so much quicker if I would have just done it myself, and so we would go through that, and then we would try and fix it and go back and forth. And there were a lot of things that I just didn't know, I didn't realize. And one of the simplest things, like videoing it, when I do it, video it, and then I don't have to teach it to her. I just give her that video. If I would have known that, it would have saved me so much time up front. And so I hear you. And it was definitely a struggle in the beginning, because I didn't know those things. And so that is definitely one of the things that Alex and I have talked about a lot of times. And we want to provide that, because that's, to me, probably the biggest barrier for investors or other business professionals to getting a VA, because of the process in the beginning. It can be very hard if you don't have that support. And I hear you.
For sure. Let's turn to, yes, you guys have an agency, and I'm sure it's a fantastic business. I need to look into it myself and see if when it works for me, when that might work for me. Give me 3 points, either Alex or Valerie, of someone to hire a VA. Like what mindset, what things you need to have set up when, random person, real estate person, or whatever, small business thinks about hiring a VA. Like, give us 3 points and just take away. So maybe they use you, maybe they talk to me, whatever, or maybe not. They just listen to this. Like, what's 3 things they really need to get down and nail down before they consider that?
Alex, you better take this one.
I would say the 3 things that someone needs is, it has to be something that's non-physical, that you can't, like real estate investors, I tell them they can't visit a property. But I'll tell you what, if you're finding yourself doing things and your thought process is, boy, I could be spending my time doing something so much more valuable, where monetarily it makes so much more sense, except this thing that I'm doing on the computer or virtually is limiting my time. That is the time to get a VA. If having an assistant, someone's even thought about it. Here's the thing. Number one, if you've even thought about it, you probably needed one 6 months ago, right? Even if you thought about it, you needed one 6 months ago.
I agree. Yes.
Okay. Number 2 is, well, how do you know what they need to do? And that's where we come in.
Mm-hmm.
See, when we hire a virtual assistant for our clients, we don't just say, hey, let's say if the virtual assistant's name is Sam. Hey, Sam, meet Johnny. And then, Johnny, here's Sam. Go for it. No, we sit down with you, Johnny. And the most crucial thing is, we sit down with you and do an interview with you to see what you really need. Based on what you need, Valerie and I will have the experience on how to relate that to a VA, what type of technology to use, how to do it and tackle that task. And the third thing that someone needs is patience. They got to have patience. See, we're never taught how to coach someone.
No.
We're taught how to do it. We're doers. A lot of us are doers, right? But
sure.
we're not coaches. We're not taught to teach someone. The process of teaching and understanding how to teach is a thing in its own. And that's actually one of the things that I like to really teach our clients is how to coach our VAs through the process. It's like a 4-quadrant process.
Nice. So you're
talk
teaching
about.
you're teaching both sides here, right? You're teaching obviously the VA or some, and then also
100%.
maybe the client as well.
Yeah.
And then that's going to lead to, it's like maybe trying like a dog, a dog trainer teaching. It's not just the dog. It's like, yes, it's the owner too that needs to learn a ton.
Absolutely, 100%.
Then when they go home or they're by themselves, then actually the relationship, blossoms perhaps.
Right. Because you treat them not just as a staff, they're like your employee. But if we think about this, they're really our employees is our biggest investors. They invest their time, blood, sweat, and tears. So we have to think about it a little bit differently, that they are investors, not just staff members.
Absolutely. And I probably should correct something while we're talking here. Not that I or any of us think of virtual assistants in relationship to pets. Hopefully I didn't give that impression, but it just flashed into my mind. But anyways, just for the record. But anyway, so that's I'm hearing what you're saying. That's very, very important. Very, I love the insight. I love that insight.
Yeah.
So yes, let's take the next step into this. So what you said kind of the if someone has thought about it, and then the interview process, and then that last thing of patience, and being able to coach and teach someone, can you be a good manager? Can you provide the guidance this person needs? Because then if you're not providing the guidance, then clearly we're short-tempered, we get impatient, like, why isn't this working? Why does this person know? Why can't they read my mind? All these terrible ways of communicating. Like Valerie said, like, this person has no idea, never have met me, and like we're assuming all these things, and they're probably like, right. I mean, who knows what they're who knows what they're thinking about us, like these crazy people.
Think about the first time a child learns. Think about when you first learn how to write your name.
Yes.
If the first time you wrote your name and your teacher was like, that's exactly not how you want to do it. Oh my God, I don't know why you write it this way. I thought you came knowing how to write your name. I mean, it's just, they'll never be able to write their name, right? Yeah. So because even though they come with the skills, and even though you've done it probably thousands of times, it's the first time they've seen it. We have to understand that.
Really, really good. Yeah. Let's get tactical here into a couple of specifics. So let's just say I'm a syndicator or a fundraiser. And what are some things that some people are like, oh, I think I need a VA, and I'm sure you've fostered, or actually in your business maybe have found some people like that and matched them with an awesome VA. Give us a few points. What does that look like? It's like I need some stuff done. I need some. Is it phone calls? Is it is it investor relations? Is it paperwork? Give us what are the top 5 things that people that are into space, what do you recommend? Because I'm sure you see these patterns again and again, like, hey, relax. This is we're going to start the VA doing this for you. Give us a couple things there. So just give people ideas like what's possible here versus just like, I need help in my business. Like it's too confusing. Let's break it down.
I think both Valerie and I have done things like this. Valerie, why don't you take on this one first, and I'll piggyback off of you.
Okay, well, I think it's interesting because you could have 2 syndicators, 2 capital raisers, but they may need completely different things. And here's why. Okay. One may be good at something and they actually like this task, and that's their strength. They don't necessarily want to hand that over to the VA, whereas the other one may be strong in something else they may like. So it really does depend on the person, and that's key.
Okay.
I mean, that is key. One of the things I like to recommend is really writing down every day what you do. And once you get that information, I like to do it every 15 minutes for a week. You write down what you do, and then you go back and you really analyze these notes. Where are you losing time? What are you spending the most time on? Are you spending hours in email where you thought I need a cold caller, but then you realize it's actually the email that's sucking my time. Or, for capital, each person is different. And even, you may have your different fields, but the people still lose time in different areas. I don't know if does that make sense? You may have two in the same profession, but
yeah.
their time could be lost in different areas. So the profession isn't as important as the actual loss of time that person is experiencing. So when they analyze where they're losing time, then they can better, when we have our meeting and we talk to them and we say, okay, so where are you losing the most time? You say, actually, when I analyzed it, I didn't realize it, but it's social media for me. I know that's the one thing I need to do to get people to know that I am raising capital.
Yeah.
And that's just eating my time, it's just eating me alive. And then we'll say, okay, that's your top priority. You need a VA who their strength is in social media. And then what's your next one? And then you might say, I don't know, bookkeeping is driving you crazy. Well, then we're going to look for, somebody who's great with social media, but also data entry. So that's kind of how we would pair it. We really look at the time loss that individual person is experiencing.
I thought my understanding is correct. So everything you said obviously makes perfect sense. That's fantastic, insight and, laying that out there. Am I understanding correctly where, like, let's just say we were to use your agency and the skill sets that VAs might have, like you just said, like, this person in social media, not necessarily going to be a great bookkeeper or CPA. So, like, maybe you need like 50% time of a social media guru, and then you need, 25% with a CPA bookkeeper, and then, another 25%, doing some other, cold calling. Can you break it? Can you break out the time like that, or how does that work? Just to, so we
So
give us a little
what we
insight there.
recommend starting, we start with, if you have, some people need a full-time social media person. If they're raising capital, they're going to have a lot more need for a social media presence. So they may want a full-time social media specialist, and then they may need a full-time bookkeeper. If they've got a lot of deals going on, they've got a lot of properties. But if they're starting out and they just want one VA, we're just going to get the VA who has strengths in the one area. And then they may not be the best bookkeeper out there, but they sure can enter data. And if you show them a video of what you want done, there's absolutely no problem. So we usually have one virtual assistant that can do several different things, whatever the areas that you're looking for. And then as you grow, you keep that VA. And, if their strength was in social media and you eventually say, okay, hey, I'm ready for my second VA, we're going to put him full-time in social media. Now I need a bookkeeper, or now I need a cold caller, or whatever it is that they need. So we usually start out, with one, unless there's several fields that you could use a full-time VA in, and then go from there. And I don't know if Alex, if you want to add anything to that, or.
No,
Alex,
you explained it really well.
You were saying, Alex, actually, you're going to add something. So Valerie was saying, like, every 50 minutes, record your time, which is a fantastic advice. And then obviously kind of your KPI, that's kind of a weird way of looking at lost time, but it is, in a verse of where your lost time is. And then you say, hey, bring it forward. That's it. So did you have anything to add to that as you kind of discern where, what and where a VA should be placed?
A VA should be placed depending on where you see you can gain the most out of your day. See, because you really got to look at what's your goal. And that's one of the questions that I ask our clients. It's like, what is your goal? Is your goal to get more people to look at you, get more attention? Is your goal just to, hey, you've got the attention down. Now it's the back end of money raising to write newsletters, distribute reports, updates. What is your goal here? Right? So we got to really look at that. And then sometimes we ask our clients that, and they're like, I never really thought about that. They themselves haven't thought about what they really want to do. They just know they got a crap load of things to do. Right? It's kind of like part of it is coaching in itself. Is we're coaching our clients through that whole process.
Yeah. Very good. Awesome. So we talked through some of the ways, why you would do it, and then some motivation, just some like triggers of like why you should probably engage sooner than later, and then some details on maybe working through and like the actual process when you engage. And then I guess what's the final step is people like, you engage, you have the interview, it's looking like it's going good. what is that next step? How do people like, sit on that, like work for the VA for a month or 6 months, and then like they like it, or they don't like it, or then they want to engage another one? What does that look like? Kind of explain how that maybe typically goes.
I'll say right now, we have one of our first clients that is soon thinking about possibly a second one.
Yes.
And when we have a meeting and we're thinking about a second one, I always ask them, why do you believe you need a second one?
Yeah.
Right now, they're
just
like,
like
well,
you ask challenging questions about the first one. Like, you're gonna just give them another
why
one.
do you
Like,
need a second one?
yeah.
Because they're like, well, Alex, you got 8 and you're doing pretty good. So I figure I need to get a second one. No, that's not it. You got to figure out, okay, what do you have this first one doing? And then they said, well, this first one is doing so well in the property management side.
Yeah.
She eventually rocked that out. Well, we need another person, as we learned about branding, that we need someone to take over our social media, and we need help with that. I said, phenomenal. So that one, they're teaching how to do operations and management. I said, your social media person, let them train with our VAs, because we do a lot of branding ourselves, and now you will have a good brand. So I really try to sit down with them when they're thinking about growing. And here's the time when you want to grow. You want to grow right at about, that 80-20 rule, 80%, right? I tell people, I said, when you feel like your VA is 80% tapped out, and you start thinking about giving them a task to do,
yeah,
but they're not able to reach it that day, and you start noticing that they can't get to it for another day or two because you load them up with so much to do already.
Yeah,
it's time to get a second one.
I see. No, that's good insight. That also is really, really good. What is the so then, as far as your own kind of growth, the company growth and the trajectory that you see, and being part of different online groups and this, that, what is your own, what's your growth for your own team? Where do you hope the business to go?
I mean, we're right now interviewing clients and making sure that they're good for our VAs, and our VAs could be good for them.
Yeah.
On a regular basis, multiple times a week. And as we grow, our clients grow. My goal is to help other people grow in what they do as well, and find what we do very, very valuable. I mean, we're all in, right? Putting together the Facebook group, and we see the trajectory of where our company is going is, if we're able to grow 5 to 10 people every couple of weeks, now we will have a huge community. Hell, one day we could do a seminar on VAs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And be able to present at conferences on why we believe the virtual assistant is going to be your best asset. See, people, what a lot of people don't realize, they think that people cost them money.
Yes.
Great people never cost them money, because at worst, your person will be able to help you get back what you've given them at the minimum. Usually a good staff employee investor, the way you look at them, they're about 5 to 10 folds what you're going to pay him. See, and you'll get back, maybe not right away monetarily, but eventually you'll get that back all the way.
Really good. Really good.
The other thing I want to throw out there is the benefit that a lot of times they think is actually a negative is they force you to grow. They force you to make those systems. And a lot of times it does kind of push you to that point where you think, oh, this doesn't work and I'm going to quit. Or, you think, okay, I have to make a system for this so that they can follow it. My instructions weren't very clear. So obviously, if I can't give instructions for anyone to follow, the instructions are not put together well enough. They're not detailed enough. They're not, so for me, when I hit that point where it was really hard, I had to really think, okay, I'm either going to push through this barrier or I'm going to turn back around. Well, I got them because I didn't want to turn back around. So we're going to push through the second barrier. And it really forced us to make that transition from, like the who, not how, and where I'm not doing everything myself and I'm actually creating these systems. And so now, even if she moves on to other tasks, I have a system to just to place the other one and I don't have to go through all that again. And so that's an added benefit that a lot of people think is a negative. I don't have time to do all this, but it's actually, nobody has the time. But having that virtual assistant, knowing that they're waiting there, it makes you make those systems. And then all of a sudden you experience this growth. And it was like, wow, okay, I burst through that little, that glass ceiling above me.
For sure. And I think adding maybe to that from my own story was I knew I had a sense that there would not be success. Like this probably won't go the best, or it'll go okay at best. And even though I terminated it, like, I learned a lot. And like just, seeing you guys on social media, myself, and knowing that, you kind of grew the resource. I knew it was out there. There's other resources out there. Like just having that foundation, like a rocky, bad foundation, like I knew to grow from something was better than growing from nothing. So that in itself was like, yeah, this is an investment in myself, in my business. And I think we're probably all these action takers, like Alex was saying, we're doers. And it's like, until you actually embody it and do it yourself, you're really kind of dancing around the point, and you really kind of got to take a step in the direction you want to go. So awesome, guys. What is the best? So yeah, we're almost on time here. What is the best way to find more about you and to get in touch with you?
Our email is support@thestreamlineteam.com. And then our website is just thestreamlineteam.com.
thestreamlineteam.com. Very easy. I like it a lot. Here. So final words from Valerie, and then Alex, I'll let you, or final word from Valerie, and then Alex, and we'll wrap it up.
I think my final words would be do it, because if you're either going to go forward, or you're either growing or you're disintegrating, honestly. If you hit a point where, like Alex said, you're even thinking about a VA, you needed one already. And it's amazing how much growth you experience when you push through that.
I really like the optimistic, hopeful note, and it's true as well. Alex, a final word from you.
It is, if we get a VA and someone feels like, you know what, I don't even know if this VA is the right one for me, or if this is being done the right way, they need to just realize that we are here to support them 100%. I want people out there to know they're not out there just trying to knock it out on their own. You have a whole support team. If you want something done, Johnny, and you don't know how to deliver that to the VA, you just ask us and say, hey, Valerie, hey, Alex, what's the best way? And we're here to support you 100%.
Beautiful. All right. That is a wrap for this show. We thank the audience for listening to another Investing Stuff You Should Know podcast. We thank our guests for taking their time and for sharing what they have learned and how they're growing, and really the resource that this business, this venture, this idea, I find so exciting and such a need. It's such a large need. So thank you all, and we will see you around.
Thanks,
Thank you
Johnny.
so much, Johnny.